Hey guys, welcome back to today's episode, and I am your host Matt, along with your co-host Dushon. Today is Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. I want to start off today by saying Happy New Year. We're going to start this week off with three headlines before moving on to the main event, which will be the political compass test. First off is Betty White meeting her unfortunate demise. She died a few days before her 100th birthday, just before entering the new year, as well as Harry Reid also joining Betty White and joining her in the afterlife just before the new year began. CDC is also recommending shorter quarantine times for COVID, down from 10 days to just 5. And Ghislaine Maxwell is convicted guilty on 5 charges, as well as not guilty on 1. The political compass test will be taken by both me and Dashant. We'll give a quick explanation as to why we answered some questions the way we did, as well as a quick review on what we think of the test overall. We'll be leaving a link to the test down in the description below if you want to take the test yourself, and send us your results in the comments down below also. So without further ado, we'll get started right away. I see you got very far to the left corner.
I was actually surprised that it put me that far. Like I figured I was gonna get put on the left because like the way the questions were worded and I was answering them, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get put on the left. But I didn't think it was gonna put me that far.
By the way, it looks like you're on Bernie Sanders' side.
Perhaps. I'm not
Uh-oh.
surprised with the libertarian that they got me right.
That I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised by the how far left.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
And for me, I mean, I've that center right area. I can't even remember the
Centrist.
last. Yeah, extreme centrist.
I am surprised that it put you that close to the center. I thought you would have got more right.
Right? Or more libertarian or something, but no, I don't know.
You look like
Every time I take
you're
one of these.
close to Joe Manchin.
Every time I take one of these tests, I'm always in that same little area within like 3 squares of that.
Yeah, I think the test has a left wing bias the way the questions are worded. Like if you probably take
Oh,
a better one,
oh
it's
yeah.
probably like you probably get further right wing.
Oh yeah. No, it's
But
definitely
those
a
ones
little
are too
more
long.
biased.
We'd be here for like an hour.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're fun. So, you got any other questions that really stood out to you?
Yeah.
I got a handful here.
It was a question when it was asking the interest that businesses should what's it called? The question asking them. Man, I mean, how did I forget?
The globalization one.
No.
There's one that I saw
Oh
about it.
yeah, it was a question asking businesses should serve the interests of the humanity rather than like the
Itself.
shareholders. I
Uh-huh.
can't find what the exact question is.
Yeah, that's definitely the globalization. I think that's one of the first ones. Yeah. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should serve humanity rather than interests of transnational corporations.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
one.
the one. Yeah, I think that question it's phrased in a bad way because like I don't think if you ask like the most hardcore capitalists, they would say no to that question. But their
Right.
reasoning for being a capitalist is they think that businesses inherently serve the interests of humanity. And so when you
Right.
answer agree with that question, it's going to put you on the left wing. And I put strongly
Right.
agree with that. So I think that question is just badly worded or is not it doesn't go in depth enough to give an accurate
Right.
reading.
Not only that, but it's assuming that economic globalization is inevitable. Like, what happens if you don't think it is?
Yeah, that too.
So you said strongly agree to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think like the way the system that is constructed, private interests should be fueling human what's it called development and success and all that. Like going
Hmm.
to the moon, like we have private space agencies and they do research that benefits like space travel for like all of humanity,
Humanity.
not just like their private stockholders.
Right.
And so it's not like capitalists are
Mm.
just like, oh, we're gonna like have success, but it's just gonna be for us. Like the way the system is
Yeah.
constructed, we think that the success of the companies is everybody's success.
Okay.
Like I do think
Yeah.
there are cases when you could have like a company who wants to hoard things just for themselves and like, but I don't think that would be inherently widespread. I think that's just like what's it called, a defect of like the way businesses and government are mixing right now.
Yeah. Corporatist.
Yeah, corporatism.
You're just staring at Google and Amazon right now, aren't you?
Yes, especially Disney bust the
Oh
trust.
yeah, especially what they did to Star Wars and try to do to Marvel.
Oh, it's a tragedy. Have you seen No Way Home yet?
I saw it last night.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm going to see it next week.
Oh, it's
I
good. It's
heard it
good.
was a great movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Trying to pick my first question. Ooh, this is a good one. I like this one. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. What do you think of that one?
I think I put slightly disagree on that one, and my reasoning was I don't think there's an objective standard you can have that would like that you could objectively decide what's savage and what's civilized. But I do
Mm,
think, like in my own opinion, I think that there are definitely some cultures that I would say aren't that are like more savage than others.
yeah.
And I
Mm.
honestly, I think everybody has like a standard like that. Like
Oh
if you
yeah.
take them out of their culture and place them like an entirely different culture, they might say that's savage, and they're the civilized
Yeah.
ones.
True. Yeah. Everyone's got their own point
Like I'm sure
of
if you get
view.
like an
Yeah, I put
Aztec
the same.
priest and bring them to our day, they're gonna say like that we're the savage ones,
You
and them
heathens.
sacrificing 10,000 people is civilized.
Yeah. Yeah. I put this pretty much for the same reason. Ooh, this here. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be warned.
I put hard disagree on that.
Yeah, yeah, hard to disagree on that
I think like that's honestly every power grab
one.
works. It's just like, oh, we won't
Mm,
use this on the
right,
regular citizens.
right.
We're only using this on the bad guys. Oh, what do you think about the an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth?
Ooh, I think I put strongly disagree on that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I put slightly disagree on that because I don't think like in a lot of cases the punishment should match the crime
Would
because
you
like especially if you're like
slightly
against the
disagree?
death penalty, then we can. Yeah, I put slightly disagree.
Okay, you put slightly disagree. Okay. Why slightly and not strongly?
I think like in some cases, like
Okay.
punishment. I don't think the punishment for all crimes should be like equal. I think like in more severe crimes should
Mm-hmm.
have more severe punishments. But I don't think like they should be like matching exactly like especially for your anti-death penalty. Then like in murder cases, you're not going to give them the equivalent punishment.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I put strongly disagree because let's see. Yeah, that whole eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, that was from Hammurabi's code. I think that's where
Yeah,
it all originated from, way back in Babylon days. Feel like as society progressed, we sort of moved past an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, specifically with, Judeo-Christian values and whatnot sort of come along. And not really going down the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but having more of a measured response to crime.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so if anything, it might even be considered regressing if we went back to eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. What about this one where it says, and I already know what group of people the people who wrote these questions was targeting to get out of. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races.
Yeah, this is the racism exposed questions. I think I put strongly disagree for that.
Yeah, yeah, strongly disagree. I was like, wow, they really just try to go for the jugular, just
Yeah,
black
you
and
could
white.
have been a little more subtle with that one.
They did, they didn't even try to hide that one. What about military action, which sometimes defies international law, is sometimes justified?
I think I put slightly disagree on that one. So I think
I
in a
put,
lot of cases, like especially now, the way international law is constructed, it tries to make it so that invasions for purely aggressive reasons don't happen. But I think in other
hmm
cases, international law gets in the way, like especially with like a lot of genocides, the UN just does nothing. And so
yeah, they
like
just
if you
sit
want
there.
to go on your own and stop it, you're going to be breaking international law.
Right. No, yeah, I put the same because pretty much the same reason. is pretty dumb. Not very dumb, but they're close to it. Yeah, they just have a lot of dumb rules. A lot of people, they're like, there's no such thing as international law to begin with. I'm not necessarily in that camp completely, but I'm right outside the gates.
Honestly, I
It
think
has,
the main problem with the UN is like the Security Council.
yeah,
Because it's like
yeah,
giving a veto power to like five of the most powerful countries. They're going to use it in their interests.
and they're gonna disagree on pretty much everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's just such a huge flaw in the UN. Granted, it was good for when they made it, but it's the purpose.
yeah. Like if we tried to do any action on like the Muslim
China.
camps in China, China could just veto it, so
Yeah,
nothing
they'll
could be
veto
done.
that before they even breathe. Hmm. Ooh, this is a good one here that sort of relevant today. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment.
I think I would slightly disagree on that one.
Really? I could agree on that one.
Yeah, and my
Okay.
reasoning was,
Uh-huh.
um, how do I put this? if you're gonna if you're gonna control inflation at the expense of like millions of people not
Uh,
having ways to support themselves, and like that's a failure of the system. You have to like have everybody. You have to have like if we're going into a Great Depression, you can't have the people at the top not suffering along with everybody else. Like you can't have
and
people. You can't have people at the top being shielded from the effects of the depression at the expense of like millions of people at the bottom.
mhm. Okay. I put controlling inflation as more important because if, for example, unemployment is getting high, at least for those who are employed, they can still, survive and not be too heavily affected. Because if, for example, if everyone start losing their jobs and prices start going up and up, people who still have their job are going to be they're going to have a job still, but they're going to have their purchasing power pretty much decimated by what's going on outside of their control.
Yeah, definitely.
And controlling the inflation, even the people who are unemployed, like they might not have jobs, but the light at the end of the tunnel is closer than it otherwise would be if inflation was just skyrocketing. Hope I didn't make you change your mind there.
I still think I'm right.
Okay. You're just like, sure, man. Okay, bro, whatever you say. Um, let's
Oh, what
see.
did you think about you cannot be moral without being religious?
Ooh, I could disagree on that. I could
Yeah,
disagree.
same.
Because I know some people who aren't religious at all, atheists, and they're pretty moral. They're not going around, doing immoral things. I mean, some of them are, but at that point, that's just more culture than just them having a bad moral compass from birth. But yeah, like they're just because you're not religious doesn't mean you're a heathen that deserves to die in hell. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't think you need to be religious. Granted, if you're religious, it helps because you have something to guide that compass of yours. But yeah, I mean, it's possible, not easy. It's definitely hard. You can very easily be led astray by pretty much anything. But it's doable.
I was thinking maybe the question was asking about like a moral framework, because I think a lot of people at the different religions would say like if you don't believe in their if you don't believe in their moral structure, then like whatever your structure is, it is immoral.
Mm, I
I
see
think that
what you
would
mean
like
there.
be an interesting. Yeah, I
Well,
think it was an
that's what
interesting
happens
question.
when they don't word the questions right. Different
Yeah, that's why I think
interpretations.
the test is so bad. It's very vague.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, even the religious people be considered immoral because at that point Christians would consider them immoral because they're not
Yeah.
ascribing to the moral compass, moral framework, like you said.
It's like, have you ever seen those PragerU videos? It's like,
Yeah.
if God doesn't exist, morality can't exist. Yeah, that's what I was more thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hmm.
I think it's an interesting question though.
I think it is. I'm
It
really
could be this. It
disappointed
could
they
be this,
didn't
the same for
flesh
an
that
atheist.
out.
It's like it could really be the same for an atheist. It's like, oh, if you believe in a moral framework that requires a God, then that's not morality.
Right. Ooh, I got another question. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged.
Yeah, I think I disagreed with that.
Interesting. I put agree. Why'd you put disagree?
Well, I disagree because I think charity definitely does help, but it's a good thing. We shouldn't get rid of it and just say let the government take care of everything. But on the
Right.
same note, I don't think that if you got rid of like the government at all and just said we're gonna have private charity, I don't think people would be better off.
Okay. Well, a lot of these questions are set in like an idealized world, so I sort of took that into consideration. Like, okay, well, if they're gonna do it for their style of questions, let me do it for my style of questions too. So, an ideal version of charity, they'd be bigger and more, more able to help than they are right now. Because charity, they're more in tune with like the individual rather than a whole group of people in general, so they can cater to an individual's need a little better than say Social Security, which deals with hundreds of millions of people around the country, and they're just basically doing a one size fits all policy on many things.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's like those programs where people in richer countries take on people from poorer countries who are like refugees, for example. Like, I think we took a
Yeah.
lot from Syria and other places when that whole crisis went
Hmm.
down. That was all just private
Yeah.
individuals.
Right. So honestly, especially fully supported everyone's needs, prefer charity over Social Security because
Oh, yeah,
one, I
definitely. Like
don't trust the government.
I think that would be like a
Two,
way better option if people were more charitable. It'd be a way better option.
oh, 100%, yeah. But that's the thing, like people aren't as charitable as they used to be. Therefore, Social Security has picked up the slack from what charity used to. So for criminal justice, should punishment be more important than rehabilitation?
I would strongly agree on that one.
Strongly agree. You said punishment should be more important.
Oh, well, I strongly disagree. I heard the question backwards.
Punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I put strongly disagree for that.
Yeah, my thinking behind it was like, if all you focus on is punishment, then when you release the people back into society, you're not like you're still criminals. They're just gonna end up back in prison.
Right,
Like if you want
right,
to make productive citizens, you actually have to intervene and like give them a hand up.
right. Oh yeah, and this sort of flows into the next question, which they asked, which was, is it a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals?
I think it's a waste in the sense that some people you're definitely not going to reach, but like I think it's better to like offer the help and like try and get some of them than to not have it at all and lose all of them.
Hmm. Yeah, sort of the same. I think like there's just some people that just they either can't be rehabilitated for due to some mental illness they have. They just can't comprehend it, like sociopaths or whatnot. And then there's also the people who just don't want to rehabilitate. That
Yeah.
the drug kingpin in the south side of Chicago. Like it's gonna take a lot of motivation for him to give up that lifestyle he's known his whole life. But I don't know, some random drug dealer you picked up in the suburb somewhere, like more likely it's gonna be easier and more accepted to be rehabilitated by the person than someone who just doesn't want to be rehabilitated in
Yeah,
a
because I
criminal.
think honestly, a lot of the people who do end up in jail for like crimes like that, I don't think a lot of them are just there because they like doing crime. I think for a lot of them, it's a result of the conditions they grew up in, and if you offer them a way out of that, they're gonna take it.
Right. But then there are some that are just like, no, this is my life. I
Yeah,
know
some
what
of
I
them
like,
just
and I'm gonna
enjoy.
keep
They're
doing it.
too deep.
Yeah, they're just too deep. It's just all they know. So I think if they were to go down the path of trying to rehabilitate more than punish, they have to have some good system of determining which is a lost cause and which isn't.
Yeah, definitely. Because I
You
think
know,
in the U.S. we have like a really high rate of prisoners like going back to prison, but like in other countries like Sweden, they have a very low recidivism rate. Like a lot of the
right,
ones who leave prison, they don't ever go back.
right. No, but in the U.S., it's crazy.
I
The
think we
highest
have
prison.
the largest prison population in the world. I think we're
Oh
like
yeah,
first or second.
no, we're definitely first by a lot. Ooh, land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold.
That's some communism. Hard
Right?
disagree.
Strongly disagree. I think that was one of the quickest answers I've ever had on this test.
Yeah, that's a definite. Like if you put agree on that, they're gonna put you all the way on the left. Like I saw
Right?
that one coming.
Uh, what about it's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer product.
Hard disagree.
I put a hard disagree too. If anything,
It's
it
more
shows
communism.
right. If anything, it's a good reflection of society because now you can get regular, just clean filtered water. You can get a cherry flavored water. You can get sparkling water. You can get any kind of water you can imagine
Yeah, because it's
for
not
pretty much the
like
same
we
price.
don't have not like we don't have like water in our homes and apartments. Like it's just like an extra
Right.
bonus on top of that.
Right. Like if you don't want to buy it, okay, fine, don't buy it. Just drink tap water. Which in the U.S. we have the luxury of it being safe to drink right out of the faucet.
Yeah. If anything, I think
So
it shows how strong our system is that we have like
so
water
many
being
options.
bought and sold.
Yeah, so many options, so many safe options. Because there's a difference between a lot of options and a safe option. Because you can have a lot of unsafe options.
Yeah, like a lot of the third world countries, I think bottled water is probably the only one that's safe for them because all the wells are contaminated.
Right. Yeah, yeah. There are some countries where if you and I were to go there, it wouldn't be safe to drink, but they could drink it because their bodies are just used to the contaminants in
You
the
know, they
water.
built up the immunity.
You have any other ones?
Oh yeah, what did you think of? I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong.
Ooh, hard disagree.
Yeah, same.
Hard disagree there. Hard disagree. I think that might have been the second fastest answer.
Yeah, I think my thinking behind this question is maybe like their thinking was if you say yes to this, you're one of the people who say government and country aren't the same. Like your government
Yeah,
can make a dumb decision, but like you're gonna support your country over the government. Like
right.
I just view it as one and the same because like if you're like living in 1930s Nazi Germany and like they're invading Poland and setting up gas chambers, like I don't think you're gonna be like, well, the government's wrong, but I still support Germany over everybody else.
Right. Yeah, no. There are some things that countries do. They're just, you sure, bro? Like, I don't think I'm gonna support this,
Yeah.
guys. Like that point exactly. Like, what if you're a German Jew in 1939? Are you just gonna be like, Germany or die? And I'm sure they would have been like, you do you. We'll happily give you that option, guys. Um, Here's another one. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments and delayed progress in a democratic political system.
I put a hard disagree on that because I think it does avoid arguments, but like that's not a good thing. Because
Right.
like the disagreement doesn't magically disappear just because you don't have the other parties there.
Yeah, the disagreement's there. They're just been silenced.
Yeah, you're just suppressing the people you don't agree with, going, "Oh, look, there's no disagreement."
And then anyone who speaks up is shipped off to a prison camp.
Yeah, that's what happens in like all these one party state countries.
Right. I feel like that question was put in for the same reason as the whole land shouldn't be bought or sold. Like it's
Yeah,
just
this is another communist question. If you put yes, they're gonna like
communist
put you on
question.
the author right or the author left.
Yeah, it's just if you put strongly agree on that one, it's just instantly to the top right corner.
I
I
don't
mean top left
understand
corner.
how anybody could agree with this. Like
I mean, there's some
I don't
people.
get it.
I don't get it either, but there's some people
'Cause
who
it's like, even
still
if you
believe.
are a communist, like, there are different brands of communism because, like, Stalin and, like, a libertarian socialist wouldn't be in the same party.
Oh no, not at all.
And, like, if you have a one-party state, which ideology is gonna, are you gonna have the party be?
The one who burns down the building first.
Whichever kills the other ones first wins.
Every party for themselves. You got any others?
Yeah. Alright, what did you think of the most important thing for children is to accept discipline?
Ooh. I put slightly disagree.
Yeah, I would disagree on that one too.
Because to a certain extent, yeah, they need to accept discipline. but not to the point where they don't question any discipline at all.
Yeah, I think there was another question about schools, and I like put disagree on that one too. 'Cause, like I think
Yeah,
there's too much emphasis on like conformity rather than like creativity.
I think no, it was religious values. But yeah, I think no, yeah, kids should be able to question some discipline, but they should also be willing and able to accept other discipline, like parental discipline. That's important. But if they grow up and they just don't question anything at all from like government or anything, then it's like it's too much of a good thing. Like it's so good that it just doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I think definitely need to have a balance. Like you can't just have like undisciplined people running around. Like on the
Right,
other hand, you can't like beat them into like mindless drones who just do whatever they're told.
right. No, yeah, you got to find that middle ground somewhere. So that's the challenge of raising kids.
I think honestly, I think that's the problem. A lot of the problems with the way the school system is constructed, because like a lot of it is just like write this down, remember this. Like don't really
Right,
debate or discuss anything.
right. No, yeah, they're just taught to read the board, do what you're told, and pass the test and move on.
Yeah,
Like, there's nothing really else,
and I think that's
aside from
why like a
the.
lot of people once they get out, they just forget everything.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I graduated high school a while ago, and I don't remember anything. And I mean nothing. People say Pythagorean theorem or something, and not even that. Nothing.
Like I think people just do it to get it over with, and then like they just
Oh
forget it once they're done.
yeah, because the school is just public schools. They're just a lot of the one size fits all. They
Yeah,
don't cater to like that one student's individual needs or desires. Like if you want to be an engineer, you're not going to remember anything from social studies class. Like you're just not. Like it just
yeah,
has
definitely.
nothing. You have no reason. You have no incentive other than the test.
And I think a
Oh,
lot of that has to do with like the fact that they don't allow debate or discussion. Because like whenever I history classes, like the teachers I had, they always like encourage discussion and debate, and I
hmm.
think that produces a more productive learning environment than just
Oh
like
yeah,
remember these dates, pass this test.
right. No, yeah. My school was the same exact way. There was no debate. There was no exchange of ideas unless you were the teacher exchanging your ideas. Once it was, once I got into college and whatnot, it sort of got better. It didn't really get into a position where I'm like I'm happy of the balance that the teachers have until like late into my college degree.
Honestly, I think it's kind of worse when you get to that level because like a lot of the classes are just like full of a lot more people, and like when you're in that environment, it becomes even harder to have debate and discussion.
Mm. Well, it does depend on the teacher and the school, because there are some schools and teachers they're just as bad as grade school teachers, where if you question anything they say, oh Lord help your grade, oh you better drop out because you're not gonna get a good grade. But then there are some
Yeah,
other teachers and schools who are the complete opposite. They want the debate, they encourage it. And I feel like I was very fortunate to have a good number of teachers who had that mentality where debate is good. Even if you don't agree with it, it's good to have it.
even better if
Even
you
some
don't agree.
left leaning teachers, I had a few that were like pretty good with that. So I was very fortunate with that.
Oh yeah, this is the question I was looking for. The one when it's like the prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs.
I could agree to that one.
I think I put disagree with that.
Interesting. What should be their primary function then?
Well, my reasoning for putting disagree is because like I was saying before, I think it's like it's conformity, like go out,
Mm-hmm.
conform, rather than like encouraging individuality and like creativity and stuff.
Mm,
It's like it's kind of like a factory where like they're just like pushing people in to like fill society's gaps rather than like making people who are more like
discovering who
who
they
think
are.
more. Yeah. Like I don't know if you know Carl Sagan. Do you know that guy?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with him. And he was talking about how like if you talk to kindergartners, like they have like tons of questions about like fundamental questions about how
Mm-hmm.
space and sun and humanity and all that stuff works. And then you go to the same group when they're like seniors in high school, and like there's no imagination or questions at all. It's just like they're just there to listen and do what they're told. And I think that's
Right.
the problem.
Yeah. I would agree to that because essentially that's what schools are for. Like, yeah, they should help, develop the person to be who they're meant to be, foster their ideas and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel like the public pays for public schools to get them ready for their future life. And that means get them ready for work and whatnot, but also foster who they're meant to be. So I think it's sort of a balance of conformity and independence that the school has to foster in children and young adults, which in turn lets them be prepared for their future jobs and careers down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Like definitely don't think it's like we should just have like a bunch of like ideologues running around saying that they're not going to conform, and
I
like
mean,
they're sitting in the room thinking all day.
if you want that, just go to Reddit. You have any other ones?
um. Oh yeah, what did you think of? What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us.
Oh, disagree on that one.
Yeah, I put a hard disagree on that.
Yeah, disagree for sure. That one, I'm like, ooh, the interesting question wording there.
Yeah, because I think if you disagree, it's going to push you to the left, and this is definitely one of the questions that's pushing me and you to the left because we disagree with it.
Yeah,
But it's not like we want to have socialism as a instead. It's more of like this current system should be reformed rather than like replaced.
right. No, yeah, because there are some things that companies do that they're not good for the average person,
And like pollution or corruption.
or just you know pushing out foods that they know are unhealthy, and like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
no no
definitely.
no no no, it's good for you guys. It tastes great. Don't worry about it.
Like you've probably seen all those ads from the
Cigarette.
'50s talking about how cigarettes don't cause cancer, and if you're a
You're
pregnant mother,
right,
then you can smoke it just fine, and nothing will be a problem.
right, and it's like, dang. I don't think that I don't think that was good for the general public, but it was great for the company. But let's see. I got two more. See, the first one is those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support.
I think I put a disagree on that.
Really, I put a strongly agree on that.
Yeah, my reasoning behind it was, I think there are like I don't think there's I think there are definitely cases when you have a person who's like they're in that situation entirely of their own actions. But I
Hmm.
do think there are a lot of cases when like there's a person who's like perfectly healthy and they're definitely capable of working, but like maybe there's like a reason that's kind of out of their control for why, like a drug addict, for instance.
Hmm.
They'd be perfectly healthy if they weren't using the drugs, but because of the drugs, they're not motivated. They're not in the market looking for a job or anything like that. Like I think
Mm,
in a case like that, that person should be offered assistance and help rather than just like thrown to the side.
mm. I mean, I could see that, but after a while, like let's say like they're in that same bubble for I don't know, 10 years. At some point you got to cut off the safety net too. Like, come on, dude, you're not. This ain't no freeload
Yeah.
experience either. So I definitely agree that some compassion needs to be had. You know, say I don't know, a 10-year grace period. Sure, why not? But but someone who's on like someone like that who just their whole life is basically just doing drugs, not wanting to help themselves. So I'm like, well, why do I want my tax dollar to help them if they don't even want to help themselves?
Yeah, definitely.
So
Like
for
after a
me,
certain point, like you have to like do it
you
yourself.
got to cut it off.
Yeah,
You got to cut it off because eventually people start taking advantage, and that's just basically where we are right now, where we have a generous social safety net, and people just take advantage of it.
yeah, definitely have to. After a certain point, you got to cut it off.
So, what would be your cutoff point then? This ain't one of the questions, but now I'm curious. What would you be? What would you be? Your decent cutoff point?
Well, I think the system should be like reformed because I think the way we run things now, it encourages people to get into these types of situations.
Yeah.
Like I think we should like I think the way that I think I forget it was one of the European countries, I forget which one that I was reading about, but the way they manage the homeless problem, like I
Mhm.
think here you don't get offered like the home first. You have to meet a bunch of requirements, but like
Mhm.
if you don't have a home, it's going to be a lot harder to meet those requirements. Like you have to have a stable job,
Mhm.
have a certain income and all that. But that
Mhm.
all of those things are like nearly impossible to achieve if you don't have like a stable living area first. So like
Mhm.
what I would do is offer them the low income housing first and then have them give them a checklist of things that they have to achieve and then like
Mhm.
have them slowly start paying for the things on their own. And that like has a higher success rate than just like the backwards way, which is the way we do it. So I would
Yeah.
change to a system like that. And then I don't know, maybe like after like 5 years or so, if they're just not like if they're
They're
not
in the same
helping
boat. If
themselves,
they,
then like yeah, we cut the support.
yeah. I know there are some places that do that kind of system down here where I'm at. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
their
think a
names.
lot of local areas do it.
Yeah, a lot of local localities do something similar to that. Not exactly sure the success rate. You said it was successful, so I'll
Yeah, I
just
don't
take
know
your
about
word for
here,
it.
but the place I was reading, it's a lot more successful than the backwards the way that we usually do it here. So I think it would be better to do that.
No, yeah, I think every system is going to have its places of weaknesses and chances to, improve. But yeah, I think it's something that we should strive for instead of something that we should look at in disappointment. I have one more. So, yeah, I don't know if you had any others.
No, that's my last one.
All right, this is my last one. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Had to get one of these type of questions in.
I think I put disagree for that.
Interesting. I put what I put strongly agree.
Yeah, I put disagree, and like my reasoning behind it was I don't think there's been like a radical increase in openness about it than like any time in the past. I mean, definitely
Interesting.
if we're talking about like if we're talking about like the 50s, then definitely yeah. But like if we go back to the 20s, then like they were probably on par with them. Like
Yeah.
I don't think we're living in an extraordinary time period where like everybody is just like giving too much information. We're all that's all we talk about. I think this is like pretty normal. There's ups and downs.
Mm-hmm. I strongly agree. There's a huge section of society where sex is basically their primary identifier of who they are. And rather than society saying no, that's wrong, they're embracing it. They're like, yeah, 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 go for it, show it off.
And I think
That's who
what's
you are.
funny about it is like you get those same people who are like, oh, but like you should just treat us like normal people and incorporate us into society.
Yeah,
And then they say that.
yeah. So for me, that's what I was getting at. Like they're just not the whole society, but there's a subset of society that they just overemphasize sex above all else. And then society, rather than try to correct them and steer them on a better path, sort of embraces and encourages that.
Yeah, I would definitely say part of that probably has to do with the internet and then like the
Oh yeah,
achievements in health science. Like
yeah,
now that you can you won't end up like Ben Franklin where you're just like you're like you suffering from like 10 different viral diseases. Like you're good
yeah,
for life.
yeah. No, yeah. There's definitely been periods of times when like you said, the 20s, that they're very much into sex and whatnot. But I don't know. There's just something about nowadays when,
I don't
because in the
honestly
20s, I can't
do you
really.
think it has to do with the rise in transgenderism? Because I think it's always existed. Like now, it's probably at an all time high. Because
I
now
think
that we
so.
have like all the science to actually back it up, it's probably higher than now than it's ever been.
I think it has something to do with it because there's this just I'm just gonna say it, there's a lot of people in the Democrat Party who they're saying it's something that they need to be proud of. Like it's something to be proud of that you're so and so, and make that like the central feature of who you're meant to be, your identity and whatnot. And then they just take it so far. Like, yeah, it's okay to accept who you are. It's another thing to be just so prideful and have it to be your main identifying feature to the point when you can't talk about, I don't know, Brandon. without talking about how he treats his sexuality and how he treats other people when he's being intimate. Like it just go hand in hand with who you are. Like that to me, that's just too far.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think I think for a lot of the higher up Dems that are in power, this is their way like into power.
Yeah,
It's like they can just say some cultural stuff without actually doing anything, and like people will vote for them.
just a disclaimer: Brandon was a completely fictional name. I don't know an actual
Oh,
Brandon like that. Anyone to hear this a month from now, like, oh, he's talking about me. No, no, no.
and we have Ari.
Yeah, but that's another case we get into another day. But you were saying?
I was saying like I don't actually I was thinking for like a lot of the like higher up Dems, I don't think they like actually legitimately care about like these issues. I think for them it's just like their way to get votes.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they hang up a trans flag outside their office, or to put like the hashtag LGBT on Twitter, and now they have all this extra support for
you're
elections.
right. No, yeah, it's just a talking point for them.
It's like the companies when they put their logo for the pride flag in June, and
It's
they
just
get
marketing.
the boost. Yeah,
Do they actually get a boost from that?
I have no idea, but like I would assume so because they do it every June. So like I would think maybe something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they get some sort of like, social credit, street cred, like, oh, Nike supports me, so and so. I don't know. I've never looked into the fact if like it actually brings in more money.
Yeah, I've never looked into it, but it just seems
That
like
would be
it
something
just seems like
interesting to look
maybe
in.
because like they do like every June, like June 1st, all of the logos go to the pride flag. So like maybe
Right.
like gay people just spend a
Ma-
lot more money during June.
Them and whoever supports them in
Yeah.
that cause. I don't
You know
know.
what's funny?
I,
Have you ever
no.
seen the Bethesda meme where it's like all of their Twitter profiles?
Yeah.
Bethesda, you know the gaming company?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, for like on June they made all of their Twitter profiles. They have because they have like one for a bunch of countries.
Mm-hmm.
So their U.S. profile, their France profile, and their Germany profile, like they did the pride flag on June. But their Russia profile, their China profile, and their like Middle East profile, they didn't put the pride flag on.
No. Yeah. I feel like a lot of companies they probably do that because I know, for instance, Nike in China has their own whatchamacallit Twitter. I think it was Nike. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about, and it's the
Yeah,
same
it
thing.
just
They
shows
don't
they
put the
don't
pride flag.
actually care about the progressive causes. They're just there to make money.
Yeah, they're just there for the money, money. That and they know if they put them in countries like that, they're gonna get booted out within the month.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So for them, it's just their bottom line, really.
So what do you think about the test overall?
Sort of what you were saying that it's pretty heavily biased. The question is just so broad that it's very hard to get like an accurate reading of whoever's taking the test.
Yeah, I think
But
the test is pretty poor. Like I think the people who wrote it are probably like they're all libertarian and left wingers because a lot of
yeah,
the questions are written from their perspective.
oh
And if
yeah,
you answer in a certain way that you agree with, it's gonna like put you on the left when you're actually not.
right. But I think that if it's just the average guy trying to take one of these tests just to see what they get, I mean, I think it's okay.
I think it'd be fine.
I think it's okay for like the average person, like, oh, I want to take one just to see what it's like. It's not too long to make sure people don't, lose interest halfway through it, like some of the other ones where they're like 200 questions long. And it's like,
Yeah, this was
dang,
probably
like,
the best because like it's short and like the questions are at most like a sentence or two. A lot of the
yeah,
other ones, man, those there'd be like 250 questions, and you got to read a whole
yeah,
paragraph for a bunch of them.
yeah. But I like this one because it's very user friendly.
Yeah.
Someone who's not into politics whatsoever can take the test without having to Google anything. I mean, maybe one or two things,
Oh
but for
yeah,
the most part,
definitely.
it's pretty self-explanatory stuff.
Yeah, because one of these, somebody sent me one of these when I was at work, so I was doing it on my phone, and
Uh-huh.
I kept getting questions with words that I didn't know. So I would have to leave the test, go look up the
Yeah.
word, come back, and I have to restart because the test reloaded.
So I'll give them points for that. Like very, very, very user friendly, even to people who are just not into politics whatsoever. Like they're not using very sophisticated words that you gotta be like a political science major to know what they mean or anything. So I
Honestly, I
think
think a lot of these words they just make up.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna go into that, but you know what I mean. Like, it, just the average guy on the street can take it and have minimal difficulties, if at all.
Yeah, it takes like 15 minutes to take too, so it's quick.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes at most, which I appreciate. I did it at my break at work the other day,
Yeah,
yesterday.
same.
So it's pretty easy. It's pretty quick, but yeah, pros and cons. It's easy and quick, but you're trading convenience for accuracy.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's my take on the test.
Yep, I agreed.
Any final words?
Nope.
Okay, well that was short and sweet to the point. I don't have anything final to say other than rest in peace, Harry Reid.
Oh yeah, rip.
Rip, rip. Hope his family's doing well, because it's never good. It's never fun to lose a family member, especially around this time of the year. So thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. If you didn't, please leave a comment down below saying what we can improve. As always, see you in the next video and hope you have a very happy new year.